For joining us. A shocking new report is out tonight showing the state of Texas approved Camp Mystic's emergency plan just 2 days before the flood.
Officials say on July 2nd, a state inspector visited the youth camp and certified that it had an emergency and evacuation plan in place and that its cabins and other buildings were safe. Now, the state inspection report raises new questions about whether that emergency plan was adequate and how closely it was followed. Still, the water rose 26 feet in 45 minutes in the early morning hours of the 4th. Hundreds of emergency teams remain on the ground tonight combing the destruction. Meanwhile, hundreds of volunteers have begun helping survivors clean up and recover. And the tragedy hitting close to home for one Northland community in particular. In Northern News Now's Sophia Lauber spoke to summer camp leaders today, hearing how they're feeling the loss personally, even from hundreds of miles away.
That new death toll announced Monday includes 27 young campers and counselors from Camp Mystic, a devastating loss felt by the camp community around the country. Michel Tigan from the Y of the North camps says Camp Mystic's loss is unimaginable.
I think it is heartbreaking. This is any camp leader's worst nightmare. We recognize that we have the most precious gifts in our care, which are people's children, every day.
Tigan oversees 18 camp locations, many here in the Northland and many in a wilderness setting.
I think it's really hard, all of our leaders, our camp counselors, because there is a reality to this work, which is that nature is stronger than we imagine.
Those with Camp du Nord and Ely got to experience that firsthand last year, hit by a flood that tested their emergency response plans.
The most notable thing was how powerful water is.
Still, du Nord director Andy Sinekin says last year's flood doesn't compare to Camp Mystic's tragedy. Grateful that in du Nord's case, no one was harmed.
Inherently, there is risk by being a part of a wilderness experience, but within that, we are very cognizant and very intentional about safety.
The tragedy serving as a reminder of the importance of their emergency action plans, as their hearts go out to campers, staff, and families at Camp Mystic.
It's a place that has meant a lot to me, and of course means a lot to people that attend really any camp that they're associated with. And so, despite the tragic events happening in Texas, it feels very close to home.
Camp leaders here say emergency needs have increased over the past 5 years with the changing environment, responding more frequently to wildfires, floods, and extreme heat. Reporting in studio, Sophia Lauber, Northern News Now.